Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face and welcome back. Today is the opening of Season 2 in this Williams Resurrection career on Motorsport Manager. We're here, we're designing the new chassis. As Williams, we don't have a lot of options. We're locked to a lot of the other engines. The Tag Heuer version of the Renault engine not available to us, or the Tag Heuer branded engine of whatever it is. Obviously that is the Red Bull engine. We cannot get the Renault engine, we cannot buy the Ferrari engine. We're stuck either going for Honda, which is pretty cheap. If we wanted to save money and improve the car, we could go for that. Our engine is pretty strong. We could keep the car costs really low and go for a Honda engine. We get a 0 base stat modifier to the engine, but it knocks down the improvability a little bit. So we're going to keep everything there. We're going to keep the Mercedes engine just because that makes it a little bit more realistic. Once again, we're locked out of pretty much everything, so we're going to go Petronas for the fuel supplier. We're locked out of everything but Mercedes for material supplier. Obviously these are just the material suppliers, either Red Bull, McLaren, Renault or Ferrari. We're locked out to just Mercedes. And brake supplier, we can choose whatever brake supplier we want. I don't think there's much difference between these. Tyre heatings goes down, but for 2.5 million we've got a lot of money in the bank. We might as well go for the Pirelli. So everything is exactly the same as was in last season's car. Everything is right there at 4 stars. So if we do get any dilemmas as the season goes on, or as the pre-season goes on in fact, we're going to be able to maybe bump some of these up to 5 stars if we can get some of those emails through. Right, we've moved on a little bit. We've done the new livery edit for this Williams car. We're going old school. We've got the old blue, yellow and white back for this Williams team. Hopefully it matches up. We can get a good sponsor here. We might change the livery when we get a new sponsor to try tie up. We are losing Martini this season, so there's no real incentive for us to keep the Martini racing colours that Williams have had for the last few seasons. We're going back old school with this Williams car. We're not going blue and gold because this car has nothing to do with Rothmans. So maybe if we get a different sponsor, we might change the colours up to match the sponsor. But we are going old school Williams for the start of the season. Whether that changes or not as the season progresses, we don't know. But I think it looks pretty decent. The Martini logo is a little bit patchy with this livery, but it seems to be alright. We've got pre-season test coming up, but before we get there, we're just going to have a quick look at the driver market and what has happened here. So Sauber, we'll start with Sauber. We'll go down the list alphabetically. Sauber starting first, obviously it begins Alfa Romeo. So Charles Leclerc, Marcus Ericsson return for this season. Sauber staying exactly the same as they were last season. Is that Tina? No, Tatiana Calderon stays on as a reserve driver. Red Bull, Danny Rick and Max Verstappen stay on, and Dan Ticktum stays on as reserve driver. So Red Bull unchanged this season. We move to Force India. Nikita Mazepin. I don't know much about Nikita Mazepin, but he's gone into the Force India seat because we took Ocon, but for some reason Kubica's a reserve driver, so I don't know why Kubica's a reserve and however you say it, Mazepin is the main driver. He's got no potential either, so I'm guessing that might swap around before the start of the season. Haas have got Roman Grosjean and Enzo Fittipaldi, the Ferrari Academy driver, which sort of makes sense, I guess, but look at that, Carlos Sainz in the reserve seat, so maybe that's going to swap over before the start of the season. He was there as the reserve driver, so he's just moved up, so I'm guessing this is going to swap about before the season starts. Otherwise, they're wasting a lot of money on Carlos Sainz to have him as a reserve driver. At McLaren, Kimi Raikkonen has moved over from Ferrari into the number 1 seat. Stoffel Van Dorn looks to be the long-term number 1 for McLaren. And obviously, they've got Lando Norris waiting in the wings. Kimi Raikkonen looks to be retiring at the end of the season. There was an email saying it's possibly his last year in Formula 1. Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas has left the team, and Kevin Magnussen. That result where he had a qualifying session where he got up onto second on the grid obviously impressed the upper brass at Mercedes. Kevin Magnussen getting the number 2 seat there, so it's going to be hard for them to keep up with Ferrari, depending on what Ferrari's driver lineup looks like. I'm not sure who's in that second seat with Vettel. Renault. Nico Hulkenberg is the number 1 driver still. Julian Palmer has been moved up from the reserve to and has got his seat back as the number 2 driver, at least for the meantime. We've got Felix Rosenqvist, who might come into the team. We'll scout him to see what his level is like. Maybe he's going to get this number 2 seat. Move on to Ferrari. Valtteri Bottas has moved from Mercedes to Ferrari. So Ferrari looking really strong this season, although Red Bull have the strongest driver lineup. As we can see, we've already got a good indication of where we're going to be. Looks like we have got the 6th best overall slot. What are we like for drivers now? 5th best overall, so looking like we could have a good season this season. Arriva Bernay, uneasy as team principal. Looks like he's in a bit of trouble. Maybe because they came 2nd last season. But anyway, yeah, and Antonio Giovinazzi stays on as reserve driver. Moving on to Toro Rosso, we've got Pierre Gasly retaining that number 1 seat. And then we've got, who's that? That's Billy Johnson. Brief IndyCar driver, 1 season, I think. Yeah, and a bit of Le Mans. I'll scout him. I see he was a weird option. Maybe he's a lot better rated than we think he is. It's middle of the road stats. Toro Rosso down the order in 8th, better than the Force India team at the moment. And then our team, we did make the move. We have got Esteban Ocon in the car, Sergei Sorokin as the number 2. So it looked pretty decent this season. We didn't get anything to add to the chassis makeup. The only one that we got, we could have improved improvability +1, but if we did that, it would have knocked fuel efficiency down. So we went against it, and as you can see, Toro Rosso are still in Formula 1. The Dams team rejected the move up to Formula 1, obviously thinking they weren't ready. But anyway, as I saw, there's no Fernando Alonso in Formula 1, it looks like, either. So if we just head over here, where's Fernando Alonso gone? Toyota Racing, he's gone over to the World Endurance Championship with Toyota Racing. So Fernando Alonso, much like he might be doing in real life, but instead of moving to IndyCar, he's gone full time into the WEC. So Fernando Alonso possibly won't be coming back to Formula 1. It could be in his last 1 or 2 seasons here. What's his contract like with Toyota? It runs just to the end of this season, so there's always a chance he could jump back if a seat opens up. But as it is, Fernando Alonso is out of Formula 1. So a couple of surprises with the driver lineups. Maybe we're going to see some of those start to sort themselves out, especially Carlos Sainz and the one at Force India. We've got pre-season testing coming up, so we've got a tyre trade-off as well. It's just another trade-off, which is what we don't want. We don't want tyre wear, so too risky. We're going to get rid of that. Scouting, meanwhile, Billy Johnson is a 3-star rated driver. I thought Force India would go better than that. So pre-season testing is about to begin here. So we'll get a good idea of where we're at this season, hopefully. And we'll get a good idea if we've got see some of the other cars running. Yeah, it looks like we've got Carlos Sainz has moved up to the number 1 seat. If we come and look at the Force India team, no, they're still running with Mazepin, or however you say his name, in that number 1 seat. We look pretty slow here, 15th and 19th. 19th ahead of 18th. I don't know why that is, gearbox issues. But obviously this doesn't really mean much as we move into the first part of the season. So here we go, we've got the Sydney Grand Prix coming up in 11 days. Looks like it's going to be rainy in Australia. We are 6th and 7th overall as we see the teams sort out their driver lineups, just see if everything's the same here. Yeah, Robert Kubica staying in that reserve seat for Force India for some reason. Obviously they see something in this guy Nikita. The Haas team have moved Carlos Sainz into that 2nd seat. McLaren stay the same, Mercedes are the same. Renault have moved up Felix Rosenqvist into that 2nd seat. And yes, it seems everything is still the same there. So male pre-season targets for 2017. I think 4th might be a little bit too unrealistic. Although as we've seen, Renault are the 4th team. Maybe it's going to be hard to catch McLaren though. So we're going to accept 6 as the target for this season. And we're going to have to start improving some parts here. Although we're starting off the season pretty reliable. So if we're pretty careful with the car in the early going, look at the engine, a 1162. So let's just decide what we need to improve early on. The brakes look like that we could improve them, but obviously we can't improve things until we get to Tondela, which is Aero, which is just regards to these last three regarding the front wing, the suspension and the rear wing. So we're going to get working on the rear wing since it's the worst of those that we can do, but we can only add a +10 to that. We've got some better parts here. Have we got a bigger addition we can make to the front wing? No, we'll start off with the rear wing, as that is what needs to work. That's what we need to start getting into the car. So we'll start on this rear wing, and we'll be able to get another one started before we get to the first race of the season. And we'll just have a look at the pit crew, because which are the ones that need fixing the most. If we just head to pit time here, what takes the longest? The engine, obviously, gearbox, rear wing, and brakes and suspension at even. So if we do engines, gearbox, rear wing, and no, we can sort of ignore the rear wing because we're going to be going for new rear wings. So we'll just ignore the rear wings and we'll go try upgrade the reliability of the brakes, engine, gearbox and suspension is what we want to do on both cars. So we're going brakes, engine, gearbox and suspension, and the same for Sorokin. If we look at those now, 20 days after the race to get those up and ready, but not too bad. Performance wise, it's going to be a while before we can get to this, but there's not much room to improve. What can we improve the most? Front wing, we're going to be improving that, so we can just sort of ignore that. The gearbox we're not going to be working on for a while, so we can go ahead and try and upgrade that. And the rear wing we'll ignore. The suspension we can do as well, although we're possibly going to be working on the suspension as well, but it doesn't matter, we're just going to be sort of ignoring those parts. So that is all we're going to be doing there. Still 4 weeks from upgrading the wind tunnel and the test track. The factory has been done, as you saw there. And let's just have a quick look at things here. We're still waiting for those sponsorships to come through after the 4th race of the season. So let's just move on to the Australian Grand Prix. We'll get this rear wing built and out of the way. We'll get a next one built. Hopefully we've got something we can add here. This one adds 5 days on for that one, so another 40 to that gets us above 1,000 once we got it once we got it fully upgraded. So if we can get that in the car now, well, that's going to be ready 2 days after the race, so there shouldn't be anything stopping us now from moving on to the race. Getting all the way to Sydney, we've got a couple of mail there. Factory feedback, scouting facility open by Force India, huge anticipation, financial management, got it. We're not spending that much money. We've only built 2 new parts this season. I don't know what you're complaining for, Frank. We'll just do that so it gets rid of that little warning. So as we move to Sydney, we will see the new rules in effect. We can no longer select our tyres. I think we're getting 5 tyres of each. It doesn't actually say. I'm guessing that is going to be how it's going to be split out. But we do actually just need to even up the parts in these cars. We do want to keep the cars even to sort of keep things fair, so we will keep Ocon with the better engine, but we'll trade that off with giving Sorokin the better gearbox. We'll give Ocon the better front wing, and we'll trade that off with giving Sorokin the better rear wing, and we'll give Ocon the better brakes, but we'll trade that off by giving Sorokin the better suspension. So he's 6% happy. At least it keeps him content. We've evened up the cars as much as we can, but Ocon's car's still a lot better. It doesn't seem to be that much better, but it's pretty even other than the engine and these bits, isn't it? But whatever, we'll get into the Sydney Grand Prix anyway as it is. We're going to be skipping practice as usual. We'll be coming back for a rainy qualifying. We'll see how that goes, and we'll come back at that point. So practice is over. We seem pretty quick, but if we look at the top of the order, Lewis Hamilton, really quick, almost 8 tenths quicker than the rest of the field. Sebastian Vettel 8 tenths behind him. Kevin Magnussen doing pretty well in his first session in the Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas in the other Ferrari seemingly struggling, but obviously he's come out, his quickest lap was set on the softer tyre. The soft tyre harder than the super soft. Billy Johnson struggling in the Toro Rosso. Looks like another long season for Alfa Romeo. It looks like they could be the whipping boys this season. It looks like Toro Rosso might have improved a little bit, but you would expect Charles Leclerc to improve over the season, although his stats aren't really going to improve if he stays at the Sauber team. So I might be tempted to make that move for Charles Leclerc, and it looks like we've got rain early on in qualifying here, and it is. So we're going to send. We're not going to take the advantage and get out if we can as the session goes on, but we're just gonna come out when the other cars do, so we need to be out on the inters. We'll see what well, we are definitely going to be out on the inters because it's raining. So inters for both cars here. So Rotkin will be coming out of the pits first. No, we should send Ocon out of the pits first, shouldn't we, since it's the track's going to be drier for the driver that comes out first. So we'll just wait for the other cars to... Is everyone coming out on super softs? No, don't tell me the AI is coming out on super softs. There's no chance. Right, we're going to have to follow them out on super softs then, aren't we? Because we can't take the advantage. Why super softs? Don't even tell me why. I'm still not sure how the AI is going to handle the pre-distributed tyre compounds during the race, whether they're not going to... Oh, we've got a couple of cars out on the inters, but it is going to get dry towards the end of the session, so at least we're going to be able to get a dry lap in and counter the cars that are out on the inters. We've got a lot of cars out on the inters. I'm guessing we're going to see, like last season, the cars in the bottom 5 come out for a second lap before, well, straight after they've done their first stint. But anyway, Esteban Ocon's doing his first lap in the Williams in qualifying. Hopefully he's going to be nice and quick here. Obviously we've got a lot of cars that did actually come out on intermediate in the end. Obviously where we were running in the field, we've got to follow what the AI does, just so we're comparable. And Ocon slower. Obviously he's going to be slower than the other cars around us as the rain started to get heavier. So this first lap is not indicative of where we're going to be overall, but Ocon still up there, and we're seeing Felix Rosenqvist goes quickest, but Ricciardo beats him. Obviously this is not going to be indicative of what happens during the whole session. Are we going to see these cars start coming straight back out again like we did last season? Hopefully that's not going to happen, and we are. So these cars that are coming straight back out, like Nikita in the Force India, obviously they're not going to be able to set a lap at all on a dry tyre compound. Obviously we are in the top of the order now, so we're going to be coming back out at the end of the race. Qualifying is drawing to a close now. We've got a fully dry track. We're just waiting to see the first cars start coming out of the pits so we can start sending both our cars out. Who comes out of the pits? There we go, there they come out of the pits. So we're going to get out onto the super soft with Sorokin, wait for him to leave the pit lane, and then we'll get our second car out, which is Esteban Ocon, our #1 driver this season, in rich form early on, 10 form. Sorokin on really good form as well. So it looks like we've got a lot of cars that aren't coming out of the pits again. Yeah, so we should be able to move up the order quite a lot with our first qualifying session of this, what is 2019 season. It says 2017 in the game, but in actuality it is the 2017 season for us. So Sorokin aiming to go quicker. He should be able to get above Carlos Sainz here. Whether he can make that happen, whether we're quicker. Who did Carlos Sainz actually swap to? Did he swap to the Haas team? Yes, he did. So Sorokin should be able to make that. So Sorokin goes third quickest. Obviously he's going to start dropping down the order as other cars start to come across the line. And start seeing Sorokin drop down. Felix Rosenqvist a little bit quicker. Raikkonen goes third in the McLaren. Ocon goes 7th. 8th he's going to drop to. Yep, that is it. So 8th and 12th. So that is a lot better than last season, obviously. That is with all these cars that did 2 early qualifying runs on the intermediate. Ocon though looking pretty quick. Almost comparable to Bottas in that Ferrari. And Vettel, surprisingly, after Hamilton's such strong practice session, is 3/10 up on him. So that is going to be interesting for the race, whether Hamilton has more race pace. Obviously you don't know what sort of simulations they're doing, whether they're doing race simulations or what they set their quickest lap doing. Maybe the Ferrari were gearing more up for the race, or maybe more up for qualifying. We just don't know. But here we go. It looks like it's going to be raining in the early going here. And it looks like it's going to be a fun wet race for the entirety of this race. So we're going to go... The rain looks to be lasting till around lap 20. So if the rain does stop, it is going to be a super soft that we can go on to. We don't have any bonuses for the intermediates at all. We've got no real choice with the tyre strategy here. Intermediates can do 12 laps, so if it is intermediates all the way to the end, it is a 2-stop race. How much is fuel worth here? 2 seconds a lap, almost 30 laps. We could do that and try regain it by the end of the race. Now we won't risk it. We've got to go inters. We do have room to push because it is a 2-stop race, so we do have 3 inters that we can sort of push on. So if we get pushing in the early going, we just see if we can get off the line and then start pushing from there. But anyway, here is the grid for the first Grand Prix of the season. Vettel and Hamilton, no changes to the front row of the grid from last season. Kevin Magnussen in that Mercedes, seemingly doing a lot better than Bottas did in that Mercedes last year. Bottas, as he's in the Ferrari, a long way down the field. I don't know what it is about him and this game, but anyway, Danny Rick in the Red Bull 4th, Nico Hulkenberg, Renault still strong in qualifying. Now we're going to see their really aggressive race strategies again this season. Max Verstappen in 6th in the Red Bull. Valtteri Bottas off form again. Well, not off form as in regards to his actual form in the game, but just 7th place there. Esteban Ocon, super top form for him, 8th place. Kimi Raikkonen 9th in the McLaren. Felix Rosenqvist in 10th in the Renault. Van Dorn 11th, Sorokin 12th, Carlos Sainz in the Haas 13th for the Force India of Sergio Perez 14th, Roman Grosjean in the Haas in 15th, Pierre Gasly 16th, Charles Leclerc 17th, Nikita Mazepin 18th in the Force India, his first drive. Billy Johnson struggling as we thought he might in the Scuderia Toro Rosso, 19th for him, and Marcus Ericsson, as per usual last season, bringing up the rear in that Sauber, looking like they could be in for a long season. It's just about us keeping our cool in the rain here. Sorokin is 12th. Who's going to make a good start? Sorokin seems to get... And Ocon is off the line brilliantly. Although the Renault right behind. Oh, Rosenqvist making a good start as well. But we've got Sorokin going in the early going here. Dropping behind a little bit. Maybe we should go attack now. If we get our cars attacking, we know we've got some... we've got a little bit of room for pushing. Well, not a little bit. We've got quite a bit of room for pushing on these tyres. It's only a 27 lap race. Ideally, if we stayed in medium, we could do 36 laps, so we do have room to push. Maybe push so we can get an undercut working, and we're getting back on the train of this top 6 order. Hulkenberg, a great start for him. Maybe we're not going to see... Oh, and we got Ocon. He is trying to get past Max Verstappen. Ocon manages to make that stick, gets past Ocon. Sorokin has moved himself up into 9th, and we've got Hulkenberg crashed. We've got a virtual safety car out, so we're going to switch everything down to low. No, we're not going to pit. There's no point pitting this early. Don't even think about it. So we're just going to keep everything down in low mode whilst the safety car's out. We have to hit the deltas. Hulkenberg looked to be on. We don't know whether Renault are going to follow that really aggressive strategy again this season, but he was in 3rd place when he crashed. But we're going to be able to do this, and we're dialing down here, so we're going to go attack and high. Can we get Sorokin pushed back over? Managed to recover the fuel that we used in the early going, and there the virtual safety car ends, and we are ready to go once again. 5th place for Ocon. Sorokin in 8th place. Wonderful start for him as well. We've got other cars pushing, other cars going to low mode as well for some reason. Obviously, I don't know why. We're still not going to get an idea of how the AI has done with their pre-distributed compounds either. Obviously, being on the inters, we don't know what they used during practice for their dry tyre compounds. But Ocon now trying to get past Ricciardo. Is this going to be a theme throughout the season with Ocon running pretty high up? Don't want these tyres getting too hot, so we'll switch back into just push mode now. I don't think we've really got much chance of getting past the 2 Red Bulls, but as we see, Sorokin up into 7th as well. Really good start for him as well. I think he started 12th, so he's moved up 5 places. A really good start from Sorokin. We just try and move on a little bit now. What sort of lap times are we doing? A 150, what have an idea, 132s? Is that similar to the car? It's pretty similar, although nothing compared to the cars in the top 3. Just slow down a little bit. I'm just trying to get the first Inter going now. We've used a little bit more than the other cars, so we're still going to get the undercut working. Maybe we should go for a longer undercut. Should be about 22 seconds. If we pitted, we would have clear air. What's the clear air going to be like once it comes to pits, going into the pits though? Looks like the rain is going to last, so we'll try and get this first stint out of the way for Esteban Ocon. He only needs to go, well, he could pit now and get to the end of the race on the other Inters that he's going to come into the pits on. So we're going to get this Inter out of the way pretty quickly for Esteban Ocon. Although not pretty quickly, but a lot quicker than the AIs do. And we're going to try and make an undercut, try and work out for us here, because we're just sort of trailing the Red Bulls at the moment. We've got nothing that we can really we can't really do anything to get past them. They are really quick, a lot quicker than us. Maybe if we get onto a fresh intermediate tyre a little bit further down the road, we can just sort of make something stick. If we get in around lap 9 or 10, they might be pitting around lap 12 with a second, with 2 laps to try and make an undercut work. Maybe we can get something going on the Red Bulls. We're going to come out with clear air to run at the back of the track. If we go to Felix Rosenquist, it looks like Renault have changed up their strategy this season and not blowing through their first tyre. Sort of what we're doing, but they did do it to an absolute extreme last year. So hopefully Renault are switching things up this year, and we're going to see them fighting in and around about us, because that will bring more of a challenge. We're not only just fighting with the McLarens, although Raikkonen is outside the points, Van Dorn just inside the points. McLaren without Alonso might not be as good this season as they were last season. But anyway, we're just going to get this stint out of the way now. We're just trailing the Red Bulls. We're seemingly quicker than the rest of the cars behind us. Bottas in the Ferrari stuck in 9th place. And yes, the rain does last all the way to the end. So a fully wet race here. No dry tyre compounds to use during the race. Possibly not going to be another crash, so we can just sort of keep to this strategy. Try and get these tyres as far as we can. It looks like the tyres do last a lot longer than the suggested 12 laps, don't they? So maybe what we've done in going for a 2-stopper is not going to work out for us, as Max Verstappen's getting on the tail of Esteban Ocon here. I'm guessing we were only holding on to these positions over the Red Bull because we were pushing the tyres so much and sort of keeping pace with them. As we dialed back our car, we started losing pace now. So we just need to hold on as far as we can. And if we need to, we can hold on to the second Inter. If we need to, if we think that a lot of these cars might be doing a 1-stop. Didn't look like a 1-stop was quite possible, although it does look like, I think you can get them down to 10%. Like you can do the middle compound tyre. So hopefully that's going to be the case. We've got Sorokin on warm tyres here. He's dropping. Oh, Vettel has crashed. It's just that Vettel has crashed. He's binned it on. Is that the first corner? Binned it. That's going to be disastrous for the start of the season for Ferrari, because they're relying on Bottas now for this race. It doesn't look like it's going to be a safety car, which would have been absolutely brilliant if it did bring out a safety car. But it's just a yellow flag. Starting to struggle on tyre wear a little bit here now is Ocon. Should we get our cars into the pit if we want to make this 2-stop work? This 2-stop looks to be looks to have been a little bit too risky for what we were doing. If we can keep them out at least another lap or so. Do these drop off at 50? I'm never sure with the middle compound. I think it's 15%. So maybe if we can get this last lap out of the way, Ocon onto another set of Inters. It's going to be really hard to get that through to the end of the race, but we can try. We might have to be a little conservative just in case. Sorokin can do another lap. If we go conserve mode, he can do another lap on this tyre as well. Although we've got the Renaults, they've blasted through. Yeah, it does look like everyone is definitely going to be needing to do a 2-stop strategy here. Should we get Sorokin in this lap before he starts losing time? We'll switch him up. Instead of going for that extra lap, we should be able to get both cars in the pits on the same lap. and see if we can make an undercut. Well, not an undercut because we've got it's a long way to Ricciardo in front, but he's, what is he, 3 seconds in front. We'll sort of be able to he's a lot quicker though, so whatever we do, he's sort of going to be able to match us even though we're on a quicker tyre. So we get out of the pits in 15th with Ocon, Sorokin out in 16th. So we're just going to see what we can do here. Are we going to be able to make a sort of undercut work? Looks to be about a 20-second pit stop. So if we can sort of gain some time to Ricciardo, although it looks like they're possibly going to be coming in this lap. Is he going to be staying out another lap? No, he's coming in this lap, so not much time to get an undercut working here. We'll try attack a little bit, see if we can gain a little bit of time. Although we should be in the same places as we were before we came into the pits. Ricciardo exits. We did actually pick up quite a bit of time though, didn't we? 1.3 seconds behind Danny Rick now. So picking up a little bit of time, and we got Pierre Gasly has crashed as well. Gasly's binned it on the first corner. So a lot of crashes in the early going here. So we have to watch the... Oh, and Ocon has crashed as well. Ocon out of the race. It's just... What happened? He didn't have crashed. He's just pulled up in the middle of the track. So a lot of crashes in the rain here. So everything is... We've got a virtual safety car, which might work out for some of these cars. No, they're not going to be able to get around the track before the virtual safety car runs out. But we're going to go low mode as well. I'm going to try and recover some of this fuel a little bit quicker. I'll just wait for this virtual safety car. Ocon was on for a really good result on his first Grand Prix in the Williams car. Has crashed. We've got this. So Sorokin is on for a really good finish here. Maybe a 4th or 5th place. Would be really good if we can get that going. Bottas is behind in the Ferrari. So we just want to try. I'm guessing everyone else is going a 2 stopper. Although these ones that are coming into the pits now, they can 1 stop. So should we try stretch to a 1 stop as well? We'll just keep going as we are with Sorokin. We're going to go back into medium mode as well because we've got like the brakes and stuff which could, in the front wing, which could need some work before the end of the race. 13 laps to go on this tyre. Can we make it last if we just let them cool down? That is the question. Because it looks like Perez Leclerc might be, well, they're definitely in the range for a 1 stop. They've managed to go 15 laps on this intermediate. What are they taking the tyre down to? 16%. Are they coming in this lap? They've managed to take that tyre down to 16%. So maybe we're going to run in conserve mode because we're definitely going to have to sort of cover off those cars now because they might be in a really good position towards the end of the race. So we're going to have to sort of conserve a little bit because we're a little bit in front of the other teams with our tyre wear. So if we just run conserve, the tyres are going to get cold, but we've just got to sort of cover off now and try and stretch out to a 1-stop strategy. Having another pit stop if some of these cars are only going to do a 1 pit stop and costing us 24 seconds is going to see us right down here. So we're just going to have to sort of cover that off now by running in conserve mode for a little bit. It doesn't look like Bottas is able to catch us, although he's going 4/10 quicker at the moment. We're possibly going to have to give up the place to the Ferrari to make this work. There is quite a gap back to Verstappen, so if we cool these down and then run in medium mode, although we've got some trying to blast through they're blasting through this tyre in the early going. With the only car running in conserve mode, if we get this back to sort of around what Ricciardo's doing, his tyres are at a 71%. If we can sort of match tyres with the car in front, then I'll be happy. We can switch back to medium then. I'm guessing everyone's tyres, since they're just running in mediums, everyone's tyres will be just super cool. There's no real option of increasing the tyre temperature here. As you can see, even though our tyres are fully cool, Bottas is not catching us by much, although 7/10 on that last lap, but he's still not able to pass us. 64% now. What is Ricciardo? 67. So we'll go back to neutral. I think we might be at a stretch to the end of the race now with Sorokin, so we'll just get things going a little bit. Looks like we're going to get, as we saw last season with Sorokin, there's going to be like a little bit of a train behind him. But if we can get Sorokin just to finish in the points, we will be 3rd overall in the table. Obviously Bottas is in prime position. He's possibly going to pass us before the end. If we can stay in front of McLaren and Renault after these first races of the season, if we had Esteban Ocon still in the race, we'd be in for an amazing finish here. Obviously, Sorokin started the race in 12th, sort of about where he should be, considering the car and the driver skill level. Ocon finishing a little bit higher than that. Obviously, our engine goes a very long way to what we can get done here. We've almost recovered the fuel as well, so we can get pushing in high mode as well for a little bit. Hopefully keep this Ferrari behind us. Don't think we need to sort of think about a new strategy. Lewis Hamilton goes quicker in the second sector. 9 laps after this, 5 laps. It's going to be hard to hold on to this intermediate tyre. We've done 7 laps on it though, or nearly 8, and it's gone down to 50. Oh, it's going to be such hard going over these last couple of laps. Maybe if we run in backup mode, we're going to be able to keep it going. But everyone else's tyres around us are around the same, so we never know. We never know. We might be able to keep it going. We're about 5% worse off than the other cars at the moment. If we run in backup mode, and he's got warnings about his car, we're into the 30% mark on the front wing, the brakes. We might see some other cars as well start struggling with their reliability. Hopefully we're not going to have a 2-car crash race. I think I've only had a 2-car crash race in 2 races in Motorsport Manager. I think that's only happened twice where we've had both cars crash. Anyway, we're holding on to 4th here. We're actually pulling away a little bit, although Bottas is quicker, although he seems to be dropping off a little bit behind us. So we sort of hit the 41% mark, which is, they're staying, even though we're running in backup mode, we're not able to do much, and it looks like Verstappen's going to get the run on us now. Here, as he tries to come, we got on both on the back of us, the trees hampering the view. We've got the inside line, but Verstappen should be quicker off the bend, and he is. We lose 4th place, but Bottas still behind us. He'll be desperately trying to get past us. It's not working out for him. We've had Raikkonen and Rosenqvist do their second pit stop. Magnussen is pitting. Problems with his car as well, so should we think about the pit stop? 6 laps remaining, we probably stretch it to 4 laps. It's going to be touch and go, isn't it? If we hit a pit stop now, where would we be? We would be outside the points, so I think it's worth it to try stretch it, unless we see a lot of the other cars starting to pit. There's only one way we're going to finish in the points, I think, and that is by stretching this stint out as much as we can. I think we're far enough ahead that if the tyres drop off, we might still be able to stay in front. Oh, we've got Bottas pitting as well. Bottas is coming to the pits, although that is because he's got problems with the car. We're going to stay out another lap here. We can afford to stay out another lap, so we can run in backup mode now for a little bit. Hopefully that helps us, because Bottas has pitted. We've seen a few other cars start to pit, so where would we be if we pitted now? We'd still be in the points, but not as high up the points. So should we risk? This is a tough one. 9th place is 18 seconds back. How long can these intermediate tyres go? Is everyone else's intermediate tyre going? Perez has pushed his. Obviously Perez is doing a 1-stop. Hamilton and Vettel look like could be doing a 1-stop, but guys like Leclerc, Sainz, Grosjean, they could be on for a 1-stop as well, and we're going to lose places to them either way. We'll come out in 9th. There's 20 seconds almost. Hamilton's coming to fix some parts as well. Can we stretch this out? Although he's out of the pits as well. Like, he came in to fix something, but he fixed it pretty quickly. 21% on these tyres now. Oh, we're going to risk it. And then at least it gives us a good indicator when these inters do actually drop off, because it is something I would like to know. Are we starting to drop off now, in fact? It does seem that way, doesn't it? Part condition. Could we risk a fast one? We'll be battling Roman Grosjean. We'll be battling. It doesn't actually pick up much time. Oh, we can't actually see. We haven't even actually switched the tyre. If we went balanced, we would be out in 9th place, it says. There's only 4 laps remaining. It seems such a waste to try it, but these inters are not going to last. We're going to fall away. We're going to have to do it. We've got to get onto this intermediate tyre. Hope some of these other ones come out. There's no way those Inters were going to get through to the end of the race. So where do we filter back out? Out into 10th place, 9th place. We can get pushing on this tyre now as well. But we do have to recover some fuel as well. So hopefully now we're nice and quick. We've still got Bottas behind us. 9th place wouldn't be too bad of a finish for Sorokin. Just couldn't make that tyre last, obviously. We did start off with looking at a 2-stop strategy. The front wing and brakes in danger of going here though. And it looks like, yes, we know we're not going to fix them. Otherwise we would definitely be outside the points. Are we gaining any time to the car in front? Have we got any chance of catching Roman Grosjean here? 3.3. We're gaining on him. Whether we're gaining on him enough to pick up a place before the end of the race. Obviously, as we saw with Bottas with us, it seems to be a little bit hard around this track to overtake other cars. But we're on nice fresh tyres. Whether we can make that stick, I'm guessing we can go in medium mode now as well and still finish this race with enough fuel. Doesn't look like we're going to catch Roman Grosjean in this last lap. What are we seeing Verstappen get down to? 13%, yeah, I think our tyres would have gone down to 0% around about just before now, and we would have dropped off majorly and possibly outside the point. So I think it was possibly the right call. Bottas trying to come back at us here, but I don't think he's going to be able to get past us. As we've seen, we've frustrated him for more than half this race. He's been stuck behind. He's been stuck behind us, but we're going to finish in 9th. It's going to be a good finish for us if we can make this with Sorokin. Come on, we can get this now. And Bottas has started to drop off now. We finished 1.6 seconds behind Roman Grosjean. That puts us in 6th place in the championship, which is what we were expected to do. Sauber, a really good first race for them. As we said, they possibly would have been struggling, but as we saw, 8 points might be enough to keep them safe. McLaren struggling with Raikkonen and Van Dorn in the team. Renault struggled as well. Rosenqvist dropped outside the points. Hulkenberg crashed. And Toro Rosso look like they could be in for a very long season this season. Where did their cars finish? Well, obviously with Billy Johnson in the car. And where did Pierre Gasly crashed as well. So it's going to be an interesting season this season, it looks like. Maybe a little bit more excitement than last season. Only 2 points from that first race. Ocon crashing. We possibly could have had a lot more points here. Although Ocon wouldn't have been able to make the one. Although he can go a lot longer on his tyres, so he might have been able to stretch out that last stint, but obviously he crashed and that took that out of the equation. We finished 6th overall. As we said, we didn't run Stroll in practice, so let's see what sort of money we're like here. 39,000, so almost breaking even, so we can make some money if we put Stroll in for Sorokin in practice. You see Lewis Hamilton leading the championship. Vettel, that crash might cost him towards the end of the season. Formula 2, Prema won with Sean Galeo, Maximilian Gunther in the Arden, Nari Fukazumi in the Arden as well. So it looks like Arden are possibly top, and Dams have dropped off. Dams not accepting that promotion to Formula 1 might cost them this season. Obviously, they were punching above their weight in Formula 2 last season. They didn't have the best car. I'm guessing they're sort of similarly rated this season, as we see. The 4th best car, the 5th best driver. So it was sort of, they were sort of punching above their weight last season. As we see, we've now got these new rear wings that we can work on throughout the season. And we'll possibly, oh look at that, that is a big jump in the rear wing there. We're going to go concentrate on the front wings this time. We can add 20, although we can, no, that's risky. We're going to add the 20 because we might, then we don't have to work on the performance too much, and we can add 40 to it. We can add another 40 to it there without actually adding any to max into the build time as well. So this is the one we're going to go for. So we've got some decent progress to make with the front wing. So once we get to the Tondela Grand Prix, which is where we can introduce Aero upgrades, we might have a really strong car at that point. We're just going to get this interview over and done with David Coulthard. Let's talk about Esteban Ocon's crash. Where does the fault lie? It's a bad mistake. Or one of these is going to affect market. We're going to say this one. Just because it's going to accept Ocon, but it's not going to accept the chairman or the marketability. He's going to make up his morale as the season goes on. Lance Stroll still listening to offers here. Hard fought win for Hamilton, and the rear wing build is finished, as we know. So we're getting there, as in terms of performance with this Williams. We've made a lot of progress. But anyway, that is it for the first episode of this season. Things looking promising that we could be battling for a top 4 place, which is where we were aiming for this season. Obviously, the car looks to have dropped off a little bit. We've gone down to 7th. Obviously, we've got upgrades to introduce coming up. But anyway, that is where we're going to leave this episode. Subscribe. Leave a like down below, leave a comment of what you thought of the new driver lineups in the cars that we've got this season in the other teams. But until next time, I'll see you down the road in Doha for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and goodbye.